Hello, I'm Jacob. You're watching the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today I want to talk to you really quick about this election, 2021 election between Biden and Trump, and one of the rumors slash conspiracy theories slash whatever you want to call it about the election, that is specifically that the election itself was a sting operation. If you're not familiar, a few sources have released that it is a sting operation. A few of these sources I've already had issues with and debunked in the past. People that I already know are a horn for PSYOPs operations, like, mark my words. But to keep this simple, the theory is that, or the assertion, is that Trump had codes, QR codes or chips implanted in every ballot, and that he could track where all the ballots went, where lost ones went, where destroyed ones went. He could track everything so that in the election or in court he could prove that there was tampering with the election. Now, in all reality, whether you're Democrat or Republican, it shouldn't matter. We should be able to agree that voter fraud and fraud is not only a possibility, but a guarantee. In any election, in all time, at any point in the world, there will be voter fraud in every single election ever, always. So if you can't, if you say that the election is beyond tampering with, you've already been blue-pilled to an oblivion, and you might as well click off of this video. But the second half of this assertion, and this is apparently from people who can't give up their sources, but they're involved with this, is that Trump has deployed the National Guard in, I think, 15 different states, and they give a list of the states, one of which caught my mind was Washington State, being that I'm originally from Washington State and know people in the National Guard there. This really caught my attention. Even though I know that some of these sources that I was hearing these things from are not good, automatically I realized I know someone in Washington who was actually deployed and sent out to do stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit of digging around. Now, to back up just a tad, the most dangerous thing that politicians use is ignorance. And ignorance doesn't need to be a negative term. If you aren't in the military, you don't know how the military works. If you haven't, if you believe something without going and putting forth the effort into seeing whether it's true or not, you're going to be ignorant on the subject. We've made that like an insult or whatever, but it's really not. Everybody's ignorant about something. Everybody is ignorant about something. But Trump can't deploy the National Guard on U.S. soil. That's not how this works. Governors can. And in a communist state like Washington State, a governor would never, ever agree to deploy a National Guard to try to stop the voter fraud that the communists would try to be trying to support. Okay, so off the beginning, there are some things that, from the very beginning, there's some things that caught my attention that didn't quite add up. However, I was interested. It sounded good enough to pique my interest, and I was hoping it was true, honestly. If you watch this channel, you know that I am not a Trump supporter. However, there's nothing worse for this country in this election that could have happened than Biden being elected. So certainly anti-Biden. Anyways, I contacted my National Guard buddy who was deployed. He was sent out for 3 days during around the election. And everybody was kept in a gymnasium on QRF, Quick Reaction Force, ready to go out and deal with riots. Now, states having National Guard ready to deal with riots in a volatile time like this makes absolutely perfect sense. There doesn't need to be any secret plan for that, because if Trump had won, liberal cities would have burnt And literal governors may want their cities to burn for political reasons in the long run, but only where they want it to. They're going to get it ready for all of that. They don't want anything to be outside of their control, so they're going to mobilize their best controlling entity to do that. That makes sense. But they were already called back. They can be spun up again at any time, but it makes sense to me that if Trump was working under the table with somebody to mobilize National Guard to spring once a long-planned trap has been set and sprung, once Biden has gone and just set himself up for failure, being a jackass like he's doing, and he's just completely fallen into the trap, they're going to deploy National Guard to make sure things don't get out of hand and to enforce the rule of law. They would need to be on QRF right now, or when all of this happens. So to be on QRF, like Trump has them ready. National Guard is deployed, 20,000, I think he said 20,000 National Guard troops, maybe he said 20,000 per state, I don't know, are just sitting ready to act on this part of this trap. The time to have them ready would be once Biden has fallen into the trap, we have the proof of the voter fraud, we are in court, and they need to be ready 24 hours before this happened, and as soon as the verdict is given and we got to start arresting douchebags, which the people with this conspiracy theory said arrests are happening right now, which I hope they are, but they would have to be there and ready to enforce these arrests or whatever else is going on. They're not. They were ready, which made this conspiracy theory very believable when they're saying that National Guard has been deployed for this reason. Well, National Guard was deployed. And if they were deployed for that reason and this was a secret trap, then you couldn't just ask a National Guard guy, because your average National Guard guy wouldn't know why he's deployed other than what they were told. You're not going to be, if it's a secret mission, you're not going to be told, you're just going to be told it's for riots, right? But they would still be ready and set up. Right now, they're at home. They're on 24-hour QRF or whatever, but the time has passed. There is not in Washington State a whole bunch of National Guard right now in kit, ready to pounce. It's not happening. So I still hope that this conspiracy theory is true. However, there are multiple holes in it for someone who knows how these things work and knows people who are out there doing the work that set off the BS meter. But the ultimate strength of conspiracy theories and of psychological warfare, psyops, is the average person thinking for themselves doesn't understand why a person would put their own reputation on the line and go out publicly and say all of these things if it was absolutely 100% a lie. Let me explain that to you. You need to think as the government, and as a government that has its fingers into everything that you see and buy everywhere, as opposed to looking at it from your own position. So from a government position, if you have conservatives believing that there's already a plan in place, everything's already going as planned, and that we're about to spring this trap on these dirty commies, it's already done, don't even worry about this election, they're just screwing themselves, and you know that they're lying and that they're fraudulent, we know that they're lying and they're fraudulent, but we're about to get them, don't even worry about it. That gives peace of mind to the conservatives, and whether they're going to take action or not, it will be delayed. The longer they delay, the more tensions start to recede. So if they've got somebody in their pocket in the intelligence agency that can go do a video with some social media person and say that, look, you have nothing to worry about, we have this under control and we're about to put Biden away and we've got this under control, then the people that could potentially become volatile are now like, oh, I don't have to do anything. We're good, right? And the longer more people think that they don't have to do anything and everything's going according to plan, the less likely it is that anything's going to happen. But you can't see it that way as an individual, especially if you don't understand how these things work. That's what makes a PSYOP so powerful. And in a PSYOP, you are telling people what they want to hear, you make it believable, and you could tell them the truth, or you can tell them a lie, but you have to know how to spin it to control them. That's how PSYOPs works. That's how government works. And our government is, if there is one thing that our government is competent at, that is it. My advice is, if you are hoping for our nation to be saved by Donald Trump and a master plan, like with anything else, expect the worst, or plan for the worst and hope for the best. Nobody's coming to save you. Stock up on your ammo and mags. Bring your kit and your body armor. Have a plan. Have a plan with your family. And expect that for at least 4 years, we're going to be living under communist rule, because we, the people, are going to allow it to happen because everybody is too afraid to give up their everyday jobs, their comforts, their electricity, their water. Everybody says, I'm ready to fight, and I'd rather die than live on my knees. And yet you're living on your knees, and you're going to continue living on your knees, and you don't even have any concept of what would be required for you to go and fight. You just think that the communists are going to come to your front door while you're living comfortably, and that you're going to shoot them and be a war hero, and if you die, it's an acceptable loss. And the reality is, that's not how any of this works, but that's how they want you to think that it works. Because as long as you think that's how it works, you're going to continue not training, not preparing, and not caring about becoming ungovernable. You will continue living as a slave and make all kinds of bluster online that's absolutely meaningless. If the shoe fits, wear it and start fixing it. And if it doesn't fit, I'm glad for you. Simple as that. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments section below. If you know someone that needs to watch this video, send it to them. And you know what? Even if I'm wrong, but it makes people think about the situation, think outside the box, think outside of the way that they've already been thinking, it's still worth it, guys, because the mass of people, not the individual, but the average people, the mass of individuals, the way that they're thinking is exactly how they are intended to think on both sides of the aisle. And they're both thinking that way because at the end of the day, the government will win. The only answer that I have for you is become ungovernable, be realistic, and do what's uncomfortable. Buying another gun is not going to help you defeat the Red Army. Get training. Invest in what cannot be taken. Not just in firearms training. Get into shape, invest in your body, do those ruck marches, work on your endurance, train hand to hand, and probably most importantly, train for tactics and survival. If you don't know anything about survival, you are a slave and you will be manipulated. I hope that you have a blessed day, and I look forward to talking to you in the comment section below.